Good morning, friends. Hopefully you watched the Miss Patricia Polacco story. She discusses the story really well. She actually goes over and the solution, um, the problem, solution, and the resolution. Actually, in that 2-minute piece, she goes over it all. So, real quick, not real quick, because it's just a beautiful story. This is our story today, Chicken Sunday by Patricia Polacco. Patricia, Miss Eula, Stuart, and Winnie, these are the main characters of this story. And this story takes place in Oakland, California, in a neighborhood that I lived in for many years when I first moved to California. It's a really great neighborhood. It's wonderful, full of all kinds of different people, and beautiful shops to go to, and great places to eat. That's Rockridge, California. In case your parents probably know it. Here we go. Chicken Sunday by Patricia Polacco. Here are our main characters sitting in church. This book is dedicated to Stuart, Trisha's best friend. Here he is. Stuart and Winston were my neighbors. They were my brothers by a solemn ceremony we performed in their backyard one summer. They weren't the same religion as I was. They were Baptist. Their grandma, Eula May Walker, was my grandma now. My babushka had died 2 summers before. When she's referring to her babushka, she's referring to her grandmother that lived in Union City, Michigan. Okay? Sometimes my mother let me go to church on Sunday with them. How we loved to hear Miss Eula sing. She had a voice like slow thunder and sweet rain. Keep that in mind. You're going to hear that again. She had a voice like slow thunder and sweet rain. We walked to church and back. She'd take my hand as we crossed College Avenue. Even though we've been churching up like decent folks ought to, she'd say, I don't want you to step in front of one of those too fast cars. You'll be flat as a hen's tongue. She squeezed my hand. When we passed by Mr. Kadinsky's hat shop, Miss Eula would always stop and look in the window at the wonderful hats. Then she'd sigh and walk on. I think you guys can infer what Mrs. Eula would like to have. Which one of these hats do you think it is? Here we are at Miss Eula's house. I'd like to point out these pictures. Those are real pictures that Patricia has put in the story. We called those Sundays Chicken Sundays because Miss Eula almost always fried chicken for dinner. There'd be collard greens with bacon, a big pot of Hoppin' John, corn on the cob, and fried spoon bread. One Sunday at the table, we watched her paper fan flutter back and forth, pulling moist chicken fried air along with it. She took a deep breath. Her skin glowed as she smiled. Then she told us something we already knew. That Easter bonnet in Mr. Kadinsky's window is the most beautiful I ever did see, she said thoughtfully. The 3 of us exchanged looks. We wanted to get her that hat more than anything in the world. Stuart reached into the hole in the trunk of our wish tree in the backyard. He pulled out a rusty Band-Aid tin can. The 3 of us held our breath as we counted the money inside that we had been saving for weeks. If we're going to get that hat for Miss Eula in time for Easter, we're going to need a lot more than this, I announced. Maybe we should ask Mr. Kadinsky if we could sweep up his shop or something to earn the rest of his money. Rest of the money, Stuart said. I don't know, Winnie said fearfully. He's such a strange old man. He never smiles at anyone. He always looks so mean. We all agreed that it was worth a try. How interesting. Strange man, never smiles at anyone. He always looks mean. There's a story there. I wonder what it is. Here he is, Mr. Kadinsky. There's some boys that are running away here. Here's Stuart and Patricia and Winnie, and I want you to notice this. You might not notice it on the video. These are eggs. These boys had thrown eggs at his shop, and see, the kids are pointing. The next day, we took a shortcut down the alley in the back of the hat shop. Bigger boys were there. They were yelling. Eggs flew past us and pelted Mr. Kadinsky's back door. Just as the boys ran away, the door flew open. Mr. Kadinsky glared straight at us. You there, he yelled. Why do you kids do things like this? This has happened to him more than once. It wasn't us, Stuart tried to say, but Mr. Kadinsky wouldn't listen to us. He was just too mad. All I want to do is live my life in peace. I'm calling your grandmother, he shouted as he wagged his finger at Stuart's face. So here's the problem, right? Right here. The problem is that these eggs are thrown in the shop, and these guys get blamed for it, even though they didn't do it. So there's your problem, right there. Miss Eula was waiting in her living room for us. Miss Eula, we didn't throw those eggs, I sobbed. Some big boys did, Stuart sputtered. What were you doing at the back of his shop in the first place, she asked. We knew that we couldn't tell her the truth, so we just stood there and cried. They don't want her to know they want to buy her that hat. She looked at us for a long while. Baby dears, I want to believe you. Heaven knows that I brought you children up to always tell the truth. If you say you didn't do it, then I believe you. It's too bad, though, she went on to say. That poor man has suffered so much in his life. He deserves more than eggs thrown at him. You know, he thinks you threw those eggs. You'll have to show him that you're good people. You'll have to change his mind somehow. Okay. So they gotta get him to see that they didn't do it. In my kitchen the next day, we thought and thought. How can we win him over when he thinks that we threw those eggs? Stuart asked. He doesn't even like us, Winston chirped. Eggs, I said quietly. Eggs? Stuart asked. Eggs, I screamed. I went to the kitchen drawer and took out a lump of beeswax, a candle, a small funnel with a wooden handle, and some packets of yellow, red, and black dye. See, it looks like they're making Easter eggs. These are different eggs, though. These have a very special name. These are called Pizonsky eggs. Mom helped me show the boys how to decorate eggs, the way my Bubby had taught us, the way they did it in the old country, in Ukraine. That's where her family came from. We made designs on the eggshells with hot wax, then dyed them, and finally melted the wax patterns off. We put the eggs in a basket, and even though we were afraid, marched into Mr. Kadinsky's shop and put them on the counter. So this is what they're hoping is the solution to the problem. They made these special eggs, Pizonsky eggs, and they're gonna take them to the shop to win them over. Let's see if it works. There he is. He raised his eyebrows and glowered at us. Then his eyes dropped to the basket. All right, Mia, when you come to morning meeting, I'm going to need your help on this word. Spasiba. It's Russian, he said softly. He said, Spasiba, he said softly. That means thank you in Russian. Pizonsky eggs, he said, and he looked closely. I haven't seen these since I left my homeland. We didn't throw those eggs at your door, Mr. Kadinsky, we told him. He looked at us for a minute. Well then, you have great courage to be here. Chutzpah. You have chutzpah. Then his eyes glistened and his mouth curled into a warm smile. Come have some tea with me. We spent the whole afternoon talking together, having poppy seed cake and strong tea. He told us about his life. We told him about ours. So there's something important that you should see here on this page. Do you see this right here? This is a tattoo that he wasn't given by choice. Someone did that to him. He was in the Holocaust, and he's Jewish, and bad things happened to a big bunch of people in the Holocaust. You can ask your parents about that. They can tell you more. But anyways, he was treated differently because of his faith, his religion. And bad things happened to him. So I'm wondering if that's what was meant when Miss Eula said, that poor man. When we finally got the courage to ask about doing odd jobs to earn extra money, he apologized and told us that there was no work. We didn't tell him what we wanted the money for. It didn't seem right. I'll tell you this, he said thoughtfully. Those eggs are as beautiful as my hats. Stuart and Winnie and I looked at each other. It's almost Easter, he went on to say. I'm sure that people would love these eggs. Set up a table and sell them right here in my shop. So here they are. Look, what's pretty. Everybody's pretty excited about these eggs. For sale, real Ukrainian eggs. For the next few days, we worked very hard. We made almost a dozen. A dozen is how many? He said 12. You're correct. Pazanski eggs. When people came in, they picked them up and said things like, okay, I said that wrong. Pizonsky eggs. When people came in, they picked them up and said things like, beautiful, splendid, intricate, glorious. We sold them all in one single day. That afternoon, when all the eggs were gone, we counted our money. We had more than enough for the hat. Just as we were about to tell Mr. Kadinsky that we wanted to buy the hat, he came out from the back room holding a beautiful hat box, gift wrapped. Keep your money, children, he said softly. I have seen Miss Eula admire this. It is for her, isn't it? Tell her that I know you are very good children. Such good children. This is the resolution and the ending. He knows they've won him over. He knows that they're good children, and he gives them the hat. I just love this story. When Easter Sunday arrived, we thought our hearts would burst when we watched Miss Eula open the hat box. She held us close as big tears rolled down her cheeks. Oh, see, that's the hat. Our hearts sang along with the choir that Sunday. She looked so beautiful in that hat. When it was time for her solo, we knew that she was singing just for us. Her voice was like slow thunder and sweet rain. Do you remember? I asked you guys to remember that. Later that day, Miss Eula sat at the head of the table. She said, oh, baby dears, I can die happy now. And after I'm dead, on Chicken Sundays, I want you to boil up some chicken, bones, gravy and all, and pour it over my grave. So late at night, when I'm hungry, I can reach out of the grave and have me some. Then she rolled her head back and laughed from a deep, holy place inside. Winston Stewart and I are all grown up now. Our old neighborhood has changed some, yet it is still familiar too. The freeway rumbles over the spot where Mrs. Kadinsky's shop once stood. I think of him often and his glorious hats. We lost Miss Eula some time back, but every year we take some chicken soup up to Mount View Cemetery and do just as she asked. Sometimes, when we are especially quiet inside, you can hear singing, a voice that sounds like slow thunder and sweet rain. Mount View Cemetery is in Oakland, and you can go there. It's a really, actually, quite beautiful cemetery. Thank you for listening to Chicken Sunday by Patricia Polacco. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed reading it to you.